Welcome to Big Blend Radio, where we celebrate variety and how it adds spice to quality of life. Happy August, everybody. It is August 4th, which is, oh my gosh, check it out. It is National Friendship Day, which happens the first Sunday of the month of August. August is considered Friendship Month, and Women's Friendship Day is on the third Sunday of the month. So it's all about friendship. And I think this is a good time because we're in the dog days of summer when it gets hot and people get crabby when they get too hot. So that's what swimming pools are for. Maybe a margarita. I don't know. Ice cream, perhaps, which is our last topic with Johnny Schaefer. He's on every first Sunday, as you know, an award-winning composer, singer, just an amazing human being. So keep up with him at herejohnny.com. So welcome back, Johnny. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thanks, Lisa. I'm so glad to be back with you. And I think it's great that we're talking about friendship. I still haven't met you in person, but I really feel like you've become a wonderful friend through all of our conversations.
Yeah, Nancy and I both think that of you. And I feel like that with Paco. Nancy has not had the fun time and pleasure to hang out with Paco like I did. But we need to have that. I think friendship, I have friends that I made when Twitter first started. Never met them in person. We've had video chats. We've had, friendship is friendship. You do the best you can. And sometimes you meet someone once in real life, and then you continue on as pen pals maybe, or emails or all the technology we have to keep a friendship going. I think friendship is key to everything. It is.
It really is. Yeah. When we've talked about before where I did the gratitude club, and because people post things that they're grateful for on Facebook in that club, you really get to know people. And so I've become friends with numerous people through there. I've written songs with people that I met in that club.
Wow.
And, I think anytime that you put yourself out there, you can, really be authentic and show yourself, you can connect with people.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And, we can't do everything alone. How about that?
Nope.
It does not exist unless you want to be a hermit, but then that bird singing in the tree next to you has become your friend, right? So friends are animal friends, we love that. And, I totally agree. And just even in that communication. So Glenn Burrows, from Norfolk Tours in England is, always on our show too. And, I recorded, it was in early February. I think there was an International Friendship Day, and we recorded this. He was doing another interview, and I was like, this Friendship Day thing. So he's like, no, I want to do a thing. And so I'm going to link it in the show notes, everyone, in the episode notes, this interview with him about friendship. And he talks about a pen pal that he had, back in the day, we had pen pals, pre-computer internet things for us consumers, as they like to call us. And, he's friends with him to this day, and he's in France.
Wow.
To this day, they are like buddies since he was a kid in school. I mean, this is amazing. Over the years, gone from pen pal. They know each other's families. They see each other once a year, kind of thing. So everyone take a listen to that, podcast, because it just kind of realize, those things are what we're here on earth for, I believe. It's not just, make a living. It is about the friendships. It's those things that, as we're getting ready to pass on, that we go, man, friendship.
I'm still best friends with my best friend from junior high school, Roger Guerrero. He's, and he lives about a mile away from me in Pasadena to this day.
No way.
So,
you were in Porterville, so you guys all drifted down. Oh, look at the ice cream social, right? Nancy and I go to the Sequoias and in all of that area all the time. So we have a common friend, Rob over there with the ooey gooey bars of Schaefer's, Stafford's. Why did I say Schaefer's chocolates? You have Schaefer's chocolate now. Ooh.
Oh, there
Johnny,
you go.
where's
Along
my
with
chocolate?
the beer.
Yeah. Where's
Along
my
with
chocolate?
The beer.
I like this. So I know this is good. So, but the world is small when you think about, he was on a show, Cheryl was on the show, and she lived in Tulare County. Donette is messaging from Tulare Chamber. She's like, you all know each other? This is crazy. Like, yes. Isn't that wild? But, so I think that's what friendship is about, these networking things. And then there's just true friends that, sometimes you need a couch to lay on, or, someone to cheer you up when you're having like a really bad day and you call and whine, but you can't be one of those who call and whine all the time. That's not good friendship. Friendship, you know what I mean? Don't play wolf and don't abuse the friendship, but you need a friend when you really need a friend,
Oh, yeah.
So now that you've got a friend, that's your James Taylor pick for the playlist, the music playlist.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a song that goes with that. But so yeah, there's a link for Glenn's interview on that, which was really cool. And then Shelley Wizen is a transformational life coach and an amazing chef and author, and she's just awesome. We do a show with her every first Sunday, so she's on right after you today. She did an article and interview a year ago, or just over a year, about how important it is to have healthy relationships. And she brought one of her friends on the show, and we had this whole conversations about that importance. And she wrote a great article talking about what it does for us as humans, how it helps your confidence, how it makes you feel that you're alive, and how to have an important and healthy relationship, how to behave. So you're giving to each other and understanding. So that link is in there too. Isn't that cool though? The importance.
That's awesome. That's very important information. So I'm glad that that people can access that.
Yeah, because we want to be good friends. It cannot be all take and it cannot be all give, right? So it's that balance. And friendship is just, to me, and to be forgiving to your friends, because we're not all perfect. Mm-hmm. She always talks about the importance of being human.
Yeah.
And realizing that that's really all we are, is being human. So.
Yeah, a good friend is somebody who knows, all your faults and loves you anyway, and, helps you be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And I have I'm really blessed to have a lot of people like that in my life, and it makes a huge difference. And interestingly, a lot of the people that I met in high school through band and choir, because we had so many really powerful experiences through music, we're still friends. Like if you look at my Facebook friends list, there are probably 50 people or more that I met in high school in band and choir, and we talk all the time. And,
that's awesome.
Is because we have that foundation, those experiences that brought us together.
Yeah, like the Nerves, right? You're going to go on stage.
Mm-hmm.
For the first time, and you're like, uh-oh, how do we get through this together? We giggle. And you remember doing, and from school, don't we remember doing the pranks, the naughty things? You remember that because you had to mastermind them, So I think that's the thing. High school and childhood friendships, are so important if you can keep them through your life, because they remind you of who you were at your purest, I think, where you haven't been shaped and molded by society and withered and, kind of like bruised by how life can treat you. You know what I mean? Get battered around. And the more, as we age, we take less risk at times. I'm generalizing, obviously, because everyone's different. But, we become more cautious and start judging. We start to judge more, I think, as we get older. What do you think?
Yeah, I to both of those points, I think, interestingly, for me, I definitely got more cautious for a while, but then it all got turned upside down about 4 or 5 years ago when I got laid off suddenly, and then my parents both became terminally ill. And it was just, my whole world turned upside down. And I was like, you know what? Like, why am I not just going for it? And so I finally put my whole heart and soul into the music that I wanted to do since I was 4 years old. And it totally worked. Like, I got to sing with Melissa Manchester, and I'm in the Recording Academy, and people like Joey Stuckey I got to meet, through you, but then we connected through the Grammys as well. And it's like, so I think for me, I definitely got to the point where I was very cautious but then it sort of all blew up, and now I'm much more of a. I mean, I guess it's more calculated risks, right? You know, like I'm not just willy-nilly, you know, just throwing caution to the wind, but I do feel like I'm taking a lot more chances now, but thoughtfully. And then in terms of judgment, yeah, you know, it's like, you know, we've been talking a lot lately about authenticity, and I just don't have room or time for people that are not, you know, presenting their true selves.
But that's where the childhood friend comes in. They know you.
Yes.
From who you were, you know, before you grew up, right? So, like all the decision making and, you know, risk taking, all of that. Yeah, we grew up, you know, and so now we make decisions not from, like, do we eat dessert for breakfast every day? Sometimes we do, but not every day, right? So eventually we start becoming adults of ourselves and don't need parents. So that hopefully helps for a lot, you know, goes for all of us, but you know, or live your life the way you want, man. Honestly, but your childhood friends know who your dreams were, who you were in your soul. And sometimes in life we lose our way. Things happen. Traumatic things can happen. Loss happens. Just things can really, you know, sometimes when it rains, it pours in negativity, and the same way in positivity. And I think your friends remind you of, hey, you had this resilience when you were a kid, or this is what you've always been strong on. Keep with it. And, you know, I've obviously living in different countries, growing up, lost a lot of my friends, and we lose contact. It's not like we have, you know, it just was the way it was. But my high school friends that I graduated with and went to boarding school with and everything, thankfully through Facebook, all reconnected. And it just, it is, I mean, it brings tears to my eyes, really. And I got to see my best friend last year or the year before.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Here. And everything, like she starts crying. Then I'm all like, no, you can't cry. And then the next thing, you know, because it's, you go through things together as kids, you know, and so I think in real life, when problems arise, you go back to that center, who you are, you know, and you know each other that way. I'm adding another thing to our list of links, and this is an interview with author Christine Oshu. She talks about her novel, Campfire Confessions. And it's all about 3 childhood friends, and they went on a camping trip, and stuff went down. Stuff went down, and it's based on how women or, you know, kids know each other really well, but when things happen, anyway, I'm not going to tell you much about it. Otherwise, check out the book. It's very good, Campfire Confessions, because they go on an adventure together, and then somebody's going through something crazy happened. There's death, dying, defying adventures. There's soul searching. Yeah, there's stuff that's going on. Shenanigans.
Wow.
You know, everyone catches up on the marriage stuff that's going on. You know, it's dangerous. Yeah. It's hilarious. It's enlightening. So it's in there. So that link is there. So music, you sent some awesome suggestions for, you know, what we're going to put together as a music playlist. We love to do it. We put on Spotify and YouTube. And of course, I want to go right to Melissa Manchester, because you got her in there a couple times, and one of them you were the associate producer for, and that's Whenever I Call You Friend. Tell us that story.
Well, I have quite a history with that song. You know, Melissa and Kenny Loggins wrote that together back in the 80s. And when they wrote it, Clive Davis was her, you know, the head of her record company at the time, and he didn't like the song. And so she didn't get to record it with Kenny. So Kenny was touring with Fleetwood Mac at the time and asked Stevie Nicks to sing it with him. So they had that massive hit with it. And over the years, Melissa finally did record it a couple decades ago, and then she kind of did it very mellow. And so when she just released an album, it's her 50th year in show business, and so she did an album called The Review, and re-recorded a lot of her hits because, of course, many artists, particularly from her age, don't own their masters, and so they don't get money when their songs are used in movies and TV shows and things like that. So a lot of them, even Taylor Swift, I think, re-recorded a lot of their hits so that they can actually, get some money for it. And it's a chance to revisit them and reimagine them too. So she re-recorded whenever I Call You Friend, and the fans have wanted her to sing it with Kenny Loggins for decades. And people always, I hope someday that they sing it together. So when she was getting ready to record it, she said, she and I had done You Can't Hide the Light together. And we had a really good time in the studio. And she said, hey, you have really good ideas. Do you have any ideas for whenever I Call You Friend? And I said, well, actually, yeah, I think it should be more upbeat along the lines of like Earth, Wind, and Fire. And she said, love it. Do you want to come in the studio with me? So we went in, and when we started working on it, I heard a really specific bass part, and so she and I pretty much wrote the bass part together. And then, it's a really nice jamming track. So she sent it to Kenny, and he loved it. He said, yes, I want to sing this with you. So he ended up singing on it, and then Dave Koz played saxophone on it.
Nice.
And it's just a really fun new take on this song. And, the song itself is just such a great tribute to friendship. And interestingly, about 10 years ago, well, for my 50th birthday, so it's more like 12 years ago now, Melissa came and sang Whenever I Call You Friend at my birthday party. And at that time, we didn't know each other as well, but I just reached out and said, hey, I'm going to be 50. Would you come sing? And she did. And then I won her cover contest years later and got to perform live with her on stage, and we did Whenever I Call You Friend. So awesome. It's just this continuous story with that song, and she is a friend now, and an amazing friend. She's just a really loving, giving person. And, when you talk about our friends in high school, all my friends in high school knew how much I loved her way back then and how much her music meant to me. And so when we started doing stuff together, they're like, oh my God, this is like, I know how, what a great story this is for you because you've always loved her. And so, yeah, it's, to get associate producer credit on reimagining one of her iconic songs, along with Kenny Loggins, it was pretty cool. So, yeah,
that is cool. That is cool. And you also added her. Well, wait a minute. When you said this, when you were 50, any advice for me? I'm going there. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm going there. Any advice? Yeah. You're my friend. You better give me some tips on the big 5-0.
Well, I would say that you're already doing perfectly well what I would suggest. I mean, you're taking everything that you've experienced over life, and you've had done your share of mistakes, but had your triumphs, and so now, and now you have a really good idea of where to go from here, and so now it's just bringing it all together and going for it. And I can tell you, I really feel like things started for me around that time. Before that, I was surviving in the corporate world, not really particularly happy, but just kind of there. And then I ended up marrying Paco, and then I started doing all this stuff with my music, and so the time since I turned 50 has been amazing. And so I think it's just taking everything and now saying, okay, I know what I'm doing, and the things in ways that I don't know what I'm doing, I have wisdom, I have love in my life, I have friends, and I know how to figure out what to do. Like you've talked before about watching YouTube videos when you need to learn how to do something. So you have a lot of resources now. Yeah.
Fix cars, faucets, washing machines, anything. Bring it.
Yeah. Well, Paco learned how to do video production on YouTube, basically.
See? So, yeah, I mean, we've got so many tools, and then also just ask friends. Don't never be afraid to ask, like I said, there's that balance, right? But it's funny, I was talking to a friend that I work with, and because we'll be in New Orleans on this big day, and nice. But taking care of 2 older cats, and I'm like, the animals first, right? But she's like, okay, we'll see. And I said, it's going to be this big one, she goes, age is just a number. I said, I know. And this is it. I said, I believe there's wisdom and laughter behind every wrinkle. I do believe that.
Oh yeah.
That's my core belief on earth. I remember 30 being really cool. Like when I turned 30, I don't know. And I lost a bunch of weight too. And something just changed in me. Like I just turned around and went, enough of I think you learn that you can put boundaries, and it was like, screw society, what they want me to be and do. This is what I want to do. And that's that. And it felt good. I kind of gave the finger to a lot of things, and it's a good thing to do. Yeah. I mean, I'm not being rude or mean or anything. It just was, you think it's okay to know who you are. And that goes back to your friends. You cannot fake being who you are around your high school or childhood friends. You can't. And if you've become something that isn't you because you're faking yourself, they're going to call you out if they're good friends.
Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go.
Well, it's funny when you talk about that, because I was totally in the closet all through high school. I didn't come out actually till right after college. But now when I talk to people, they're, oh, Johnny, we all knew. Like, and I'm like, you should have said something, because it was really traumatic for me, but they, there are a few people from high school who, they're either always were very conservative, or they've become very conservative and they're not too thrilled with me being gay and whatever. Most of them, though, like, oh, yep, I've always known that about you, and we love you, and we're glad to see you thriving now, and that you've come to a place where you love and accept yourself.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I told you before, I mean, so many friends in high school, but I had no clue, but I always had an inkling, but I also didn't understand anything. I didn't get it. It's a big hush hush thing. And so that's the other part is everybody learning about each other. And I think we should be open-minded and listen and learn. And, I want to know people for who they are, not what society tells us. And that, I know there's all these new protocols and everything, but sometimes can we just talk? Like, can we just be human with each other and imperfect? And, I like that. I'm going back to music with Melissa. You have Come In From the Rain. I think that is so perfect. That's a perfect choice for the music playlist.
It's probably my favorite song of hers. That song is just on such a deep level. There's a line, someone like you will always choose the long way home. And it talks about, you're out there wandering in the rain, and here's a safe space for you to come in from the rain and just, recharge and you're loved. And it's musically, it's really beautiful too. The day after we shot the music video for You Can't Hide the Light, we shot the video for the new version of Coming From the Rain. And Melissa had a bassoonist. Her father was a bassoonist with the Metropolitan Opera. And so she had Bill Woodward, who's a marvelous bassoonist there. And then we had a very elegant set. And our friend David Joseph designed a beautiful dress for Melissa for that video that it has a watery look to it. And so it fit perfectly with Coming From the Rain. And so that video is one of my all-time favorite videos of hers, and Paco made it, and it's just a lovely, and you hear the wisdom in her voice. She's recorded that song 3 times, actually, and the newest version you hear, just like when Joni Mitchell re-recorded Both Sides Now, and with the orchestra that last time. It's a similar thing with Coming From the Rain. You hear Melissa's life wisdom in this new version of it. come in. Also, Don't Cry Out Loud. She, on the new album Review, she does Don't Cry Out Loud much more thoughtfully. Like, it's not just the funny story behind that song is that when they recorded it, Peter Allen had played it for her, and he'd sung it almost like a lullaby. And then when she went in the studio, they'd already laid down the instrumentals, and it was this big bombastic thing. She says, so when you hear me singing it, it's actually anger. Like, I was so angry that they were having me do the song that way. But for some reason, it ended up working really well. And so, it became a hit with her kind of belting the song out. But on the new album, she does it very much more peacefully in like a friend singing to someone. So it's it's interesting how when artists revisit their songs, a lot of times they bring new things to it.
I agree. I like Annie Lennox does a lot of that.
Yes,
and not just with her own, but others. Like, she just takes.
Oh yeah.
She can deconstruct a song and put it into a whole new thing.
Oh yeah.
You have Queen in here, and
yes,
You're My Best Friend, which is awesome. But then there's Friends Will Be Friends.
Yes.
Right to the end, Friends Will Be Friends, and that is actually just one of my favorite songs. I love Queen. Yeah. Come on, like, it was like theatrical opera rock. It was rock opera, right? Don't you think they were one of the best on the planet?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I wish.
Freddie Mercury, there's nobody like him.
Yeah, that is. Dionne Warwick, we have to bring in there. That's what friends are for. If we don't bring that in, we're going to have a bunch of people yell at us. We can't leave her out. Cannot leave her out.
Absolutely.
Of course, you got Bette Midler, the Wind Beneath My Wings. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and that goes along with people associate that so much with the movie, and just, that song, that movie was about friendship. And so, you can't leave that song out because it's just such a powerful.
She also did In My Life from the Beatles, John Lennon.
Oh, right, that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember the movie, and it was like a military thing. And God, the way she did
For
that,
which way Melissa was in, by the way.
Oh wow, yeah, here it is, another tie-in, right? That's right. Yeah, that's right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. She was one of the backup, one of the singers. Yeah.
That was such a good movie. I have to rewatch it now. But that movie, I mean, when she sang that In My Life, I think I always thought was one of the most brilliant songs written. Like, it's one of my list of songs because it managed to take you on a journey. It was like reading a novel, like a flash novel kind of thing. And so I was like, but then when she took that, I was like, whoa, that was a good, I keep thinking of it. What's some of your favorite movies about friendship? We've got to put Stand By Me. Stand By Me, the song has to be in here. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, did you watch the movie?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such an homage to childhood in general. It's so well done, and whenever I hear the song, I think about the movie. And even though the song was great before the movie, but it just kind of, they're kind of tied together for me now. And
that was such a good movie. That was
Oh yeah, about young friendship, and another song about. I guess another movie that I guess it's kind of about romance, but Love Actually also has a lot of elements of friendship in it, and that's always been a powerful movie for me. That
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't? No. Oh my gosh, it's maybe my favorite movie. Wow,
I've not seen
really
it.
Need to see it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It might be my favorite movie. It's definitely in my top 3. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think, and I know I brought this up on the road trip site because I like road trip movies so much. Because friendship is involved, is breaking the rules. And it has Justin. Have you seen that? Right, with Justin Bateman and Annie Potts. That movie. I mean, it was just classic fun. I liked it. I liked the shenanigans on the road, but friendship, doing something to help a friend get to his dream before he passes away. The Wheel of not the Wheel of Fortune. The oh gosh, what is it? Jeopardy. He wanted to be on Jeopardy. You know? But then what about friendship amongst siblings? You know, there's one thing about caring for a sibling, but isn't there friendship in that? Remember Rain Man, the movie? That's why I thought of it.
Yes. Yeah. You know, it's sad because I some of my friends that I knew in high school don't talk to their siblings. You know, and that always makes me sad, and I just can't imagine it because, you know, when you talk about having a complete history, somebody who knows you inside and out, it's such a valuable, because you can it saves time when you're in a crisis or a situation. You don't have to explain a lot of things because the person already knows so much of your history that they can jump in and give you constructive feedback because they know so much about you, you know. And a lot of times that's with childhood friends, but with siblings, you've known each other since you were conscious, you know. And so I just find it really valuable. And my brothers and I are very different. You know, we've talked about how we actually had very different childhoods. I mean, my youngest brother's 14 years younger than me. And he's actually a half brother, but we don't talk about, you know, we don't see it that way. We're just, I mean, we're brothers, but he's from my father and my stepmother. But my other brother's 5 years younger than me, and even he and I, my parents divorced, or our parents divorced when I was 10, but he was only 5. So I had 5 really good years with my mom and my dad together before, you know, things changed. And he didn't have that. And so we have a lot of shared background, but it helped me understand our relationship to realize that in many ways our childhoods were very different too. So it's that balance, right? You know, the ways that we shared things and then the ways that we still had our own unique experiences.
I like that because I think that's, I mean, everybody's is different, right? With what happens and Nancy's family's got 6, there's 6 kids. And then she found out she had a bunch more, but, it's like,
name it Paco.
It's kind of that thing, you know, it's like, oh, there's all these other kids related to me, you know? So
Paco found out a whole other family, a whole other mom and kids. Yeah.
Isn't that wild? It's wild. Yeah. It's real for kids, you know, and that's where friends come in. You know, that's where friends come in because friends can be there through the thick and the thin. Like, you know, you're talking about divorce. Divorce was like, I remember, you know, as a kid, and divorce was a dirty word back in the day. Like in my, that was a no-no. And it was a no-no for Nancy to be a single mom doing what she did, taking her kid to Africa, trying to open bank account, my God, on her own in Africa. My God, that was illegal. You know, it's stuff like that. But, you know, and you were looked down on still as a single mom, you know, like what did you do? You know, dirty woman kind of thing. It was very much that way still, of course, not today, but that's that, you know, it's the kids do feel something somewhere along the way, and it just depends on their age and, you know, so many different things. But I think your friends help you, you know, if you have to know that you still have value as a human being, no matter what your parents do. And it just depends on your age and all of that, you know? So it's just, but that's what friends are for. And friends are also very much there to have a good time with, right? You know, it's like just to laugh. That's what you need and laughing, isn't it?
Well, my best friend Roger and I, you know, we're in our 60s now. Every year for our birthdays, we give each other fart birthday cards, and we send each other fart reels on Instagram. it's like we.
Thank you, because you send them to me next.
That. Yes. Because we had that shared. That's when we became friends. Is when we were all about that stuff, and so we never outgrew that with each other. And it's something that we just go right back to. And so I can be a total, silly little art obsessed kid with my friend Roger, and it's weird because too, not weird, but we, around college or so, we kind of drifted apart for a little while. But when we reconnected, it was like we were never apart. And with good friends, that's how it is. You can not talk for a long time, but when you do, you just pick right back up. And it's funny because we were both gay, but didn't come out to each other till our 20s. And I guess I came out. Maybe I did actually. Yeah, I think it was early 20s, and then he came out in his late 20s to me. And so we knew each other for a long time. But I think we both sort of knew about each other. And like some people are like, oh, well, you guys were such good friends and you're both gay. Like, why didn't you get together? But it's like, to me, he's like a brother. Like I just would never have thought about him that way because we were such good friends. Like, and for me, it's like a brotherly love,
Wow. But
he's my best friend, the best man.
That's wild.
So,
I ended up dating a good friend and that didn't work. None of them. No, every time I did that didn't, not necessarily the best thing to do, but yeah, but that's the thing. It's, the laughter and laughing over the most ridiculous stuff is just so good. Like when you have a pure belly laugh or you have to run to the bathroom and pee, or maybe you already did it. Too bad, too late. That is good stuff, man. We need that juju, we really totally do. And I also believe friendship in the workplace and the world of career and business relationships is crucial too, because you get to know each other, you get to rely, you make good teams, I think that is so, if you can bond with someone well in careers, and that's the thing. I think sometimes it's like, you never know who you're going to work with again in your life or what's going to happen. Don't burn bridges, man. Yeah. Burning a bridge is not a good thing. If you don't want to be around someone or you don't like him, fine. But, do that when there's a real war or something,
Totally. Yeah. I a couple times when I went to jobs, I ended up, when we got openings that would fit friends of mine that I loved working with, I said, hey, come apply here. And so there are a few people that I've worked at multiple places with, over the years. And
you do.
It's, and that continuity helped a lot.
Yeah, because you have to be able to know you can trust them, right? And you rely, when you can recommend someone, you just you better do me good, don't mess my recommendation, profile, what I do. So no, I think the whole thing, friendship it's fun. It's fun. You can get through so much together. Okay. So I have to bring up the wee peas because I think you bring them up a lot. Tell us about the wee peas, because I started listening to them because of you and I like them. So tell everybody about the wee peas if they don't know about the wee peas.
Well, they were a husband and wife team that wrote and sang together for over a decade. They interestingly they divorced, and then they stayed together for a while after their divorce, but then they finally broke up the band as well. But they're both doing independent things now. But they just their music, for one thing, their guitar works just brilliant. Like I love most of their songs are very guitar based, and they both have very different voices. Deb Callum has such it's all like a childlike quality to her voice, and their songs are really brilliant. Like they're some of my favorite songwriters. They write about interesting things in they just have an interesting take on things, and they tend to write a lot about life and about love, and many of their songs are uplifting, and their music often gets used in movies and TV shows because it's the kind of soundtrack thing that, you know, it because it's such a great commentary on life. Their songs naturally lend themselves to, you know, sort of making a musical commentary on a scene that's happening in a movie or a TV show. Like their song, The World Spins Madly On, it's maybe their most popular song, and it's been made into so many beautiful music videos. One of them it's done with animation, and I highly recommend watching it. It's heartbreaking and beautiful, and there's a line in the song that says, "I thought of you," and that the person who did the animation video calls the video "I Thought of You," but the song is "The World Spins Madly On." But the song I picked for the list, to me, it makes me think about friendship, even though it's not specifically about friendship, but it's but you know, I'll be your sunflower, and it's just because when I think of my friends that I love, they're like sunflowers in my life. Like Paco and I picked sunflowers for our wedding when we got married. Ooh. That was the flower we used, and they're just bright and cheery, but also strong. I think of sunflowers as very strong in the flower world. They're not dainty flowers, and they can get really big too. And they just, I don't know. They're just they're nutritional. I love that. Yeah. They are. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
I like
so
that.
I think sunflowers are a great analogy for friendship for me, and so that song popped in my head, and even though it doesn't specifically say you're my friend or anything, it just
you don't have
I just
to.
think of friendship with that song. Yeah.
I like that. And then there's the whole thing about becoming friends after being lovers, right? Like, let's just be friends.
Totally.
And some people can, and then there's friends with benefits. Been there, done that. And then it didn't work out so well. You know, sometimes you just have, you know, each to their own. But yeah, friendship has many ways, isn't it?
Well, Paco and I went through that. I mean, we were together, and then there was about a 3-year period where we were not, and we stayed friends the whole time. And I can only speak for myself. I never stopped loving him, but it was just, you know, we broke up for, you know, different reasons. But I wanted him to be happy, so I learned a lot about loving a person and if you love them, you know, that Sting song, you know, when you love someone, set them free. I really, to my core, I let him go, and I because I wanted him to be happy, and I prayed for his happiness every day. And then eventually he found his way back to me. So our relationship has actually gone through different phases, and he is my, you know, I mean, Roger's my best friend in childhood ways, but then Paco's also my best friend in terms of, you know, we're just, we're soulmates, and we're just, yeah.
That's cool.
So, and so, that, when you just mentioned that, though, I thought of the Todd Rundgren song, Can We Still Be Friends, which is one of my all-time favorite songs. And, you know, we can't play this game anymore, but can we still be friends?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Then there's, you've got that, Can We Still Be Friends? And that's you got Todd Rundgren. And then Why Can't We Be Friends by War. We like that. Can't be Friends by Frank Sinatra. See, you got a lot going on there, you know, but I think there's so much. You've got the Golden Girls. I know you got that. And then like theme songs, like soundtracks. And you had to put in, Ricky Lee Jones. See?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that one too, that song's not specifically about friendship, but it's just about people friends that share a love of music. And so Jukebox Fury, it's such a cool song, and it's just sort of dropping in on two friends who are connected through music. That's how I see that song. And so I just, again, thought I'm connected to so many people through music that I just thought that was a great song to include.
I like it. I like it. We got some good songs on there. So the list is, we've got it all listed in there because you've got some, I'm going to be adding some in there. You even put Garth Brooks, Friends in Low Places. You got him in there. You come on, you got to have some of that, you know.
Oh yeah,
You've got Here's What I Want. You've got yours. You've got Here's What I Want and Waves. You've got those songs from you in there, which is good.
And Here's What I Want is about telling somebody to be themselves, you know, giving them the permission to, you know, just be their authentic self.
And Waves is how I love that.
Yeah, and Waves is about, you know, two friends who they get through life by going and hanging out. And I used to live on the coast when I was in college, and I had a friend that, you know, we would just go to the beach when we needed to get away, and that song just kind of came out of that. So
no, that's true. And that's the thing. Yeah. Friends know you, right? And it's like, you know, you've got some really good friends that, you know, they can see you at your worst and your best.
Yeah.
You know, the same person is,
and they don't judge. If you're at your worst, they don't judge. They might gently let you know, well, you know, this may not be how I would play this. You know?
Yeah, no, I've had friends who've had some, you know, some of those moments of, hey, you know, and I'm like, oh, I didn't mean this at all. Like, holy cow. And that's the thing about having a relationship is communication and how you do the communication. Yeah. And forgiveness and, you know, boundaries also, you know, it's like, it's a big deal, but friendships are crucial in life. So that's, I'm so glad we covered that on the show today because, and music, the music, you know, keeps that at the forefront. Music and movies, books. I mean, it's always about friendships, you know?
Well, I think the reason that people love the Golden Girls is it's just four very distinct personalities, you know, and they love each other and through thick and thin, and they fight and they laugh and they eat cheesecake, and you know, it's just it's sharing life, and I think that's why that show. Yeah, we always, a lot of times we'll watch it and we'll end up, let's get some cheesecake.
I know. But they would have those chats. All right, let's get to the kitchen table, you know.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean, even if you look at Cheers, that's about friends in a bar. You know.
It is, yeah.
Obviously.
And then Seinfeld. Friends. Friends. Seinfeld. Yeah. Yeah.
Friends, Friends, there's some fun stuff in Friends. Seinfeld, I love Seinfeld because it is about that. And the quirkiness, you know, and laughing and being able to laugh at each other is the other part, man. Laughing, that's good. Laughter is good. That's what it's about. But yeah, the Golden Girls I always crack up on.
Oh, you know? Yeah. That's our go-to. When we need to pick me up, we just watch an episode or two of Golden Girls.
Well, they were strong about stuff and different isses, especially for when they came out, you know?
Yes.
They were very strong, especially Maud. What's her real name? I can't remember. B. Arthur.
B. Arthur. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, she was in the military, right?
No, I didn't know that, but that makes sense.
Yeah, don't mess with her. She was always so authoritative, and then you'd have Blanche Devereaux, you know, and then the mom. Rose was always like silly, but Rose had her strong moments too. Each one had a different strength, and that's the thing that's so fun. But there were just issues and things they took on, like you just were like, oh, they're doing that.
Yeah.
Oh. They're doing this. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I don't really watch those kinds of things anymore other than the older things. You know, I don't really watch sitcoms or anything like that now. I don't know. It just doesn't, I don't know. Do you watch that kind of stuff?
Like, well, I mean, I think they've changed. I mean, you know, I don't the ones that I watch tend to be the ones, like that are like I said, Golden Girls. We still watch Golden Girls all the time, and but for newer shows, I think a lot of them, nowadays they're more superficial. I don't think.
No,
I don't know. It's different now. Yeah, you're right.
It's not the same. It's not doesn't have the meat and the grit to it. And I think everything has become so squeaky clean about stuff that it's like you're not allowed to fall. I don't know. It's just different. That's all I can say is that
we enjoy Resident Alien. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a kind of a sci-fi. It's brilliant, and it in an odd way it's very, very funny. So it's like a modern sitcom because it's a situation where this alien he crashes on Earth, and he takes over the body of a local in a small town, and then he tries to navigate life, and he's actually sent to destroy the Earth. But then as he starts to meet people, it gets complicated because he starts to develop attachment to people, and so it's I see it as definitely a situation comedy, but it is more realistic and modern, and part of the brilliance and the comedy of it is the way, I mean, in the acting, I can't remember the guy's name, unfortunately, the star of the show, but he's fantastic, and just the way that he's looking at the world for the first time, as humanity for the first time. And so the sort of innocence that he looks at things at, but it's also sort of a cynical innocence. And so it's just a brilliant show. We really love it.
Hey, I'm all about aliens. Let's do it, man. Well, one thing in closing I want to say is sometimes people that started off not liking each other end up becoming really good friends.
Yeah.
It's like in opposites attract, even just in romantic relationships, right? And isn't that funny? Because I think it goes back to even when we were in school. Like if we, really messed with someone, there was like an attraction, whether it's romantic or not. Like, right? Isn't it? Yeah. I think that's interesting in life because whatever's bugging you means you have a little bit of that in you, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that works.
Interesting that you say that because there is somebody that I knew in high school who was always kind of mean to me and didn't like me. Just recently we ended up talking, and he ended up being gay also. And he said at the time, I'm so sorry. He goes, at the time I couldn't, you were what I hated in myself, and I couldn't deal with it, and so I lashed out at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow.
So it's kind of coming full circle and kind of a healing thing, that we were able to connect and talk through that. So
wow. So do you remember people in high school better than me probably because you have this community still around you, and I remember my close friends, obviously, but then I remember some people and they have no clue who I am, and I'm like, but I remember you. We wrote this dirty song together, and then they thought I was nuts. I was like, no, remember we wrote this. I remember this. We were really bad. And they're like, I never wrote anything like that and didn't know anybody. Bye. And I'm like, okay, disconnected from Facebook. And I'm like, it wasn't that bad. Suppose it was, but boy, did we think we were funny. They're like, I don't remember you. And I'm like, are you lying right now? We did. We wrote it. We did it. It was funny. Nothing that I would repeat on the show funny, but apparently they don't remember that about themselves, and I was quite proud of it, but they weren't. So funny, that is funny how that happens, right? But I think
absolutely.
Yeah, gosh. But I wonder about kids now with social media. Like it's a joy to reconnect and everything, but then can also turn into the negative. So it goes back to that authenticity that we're talking about instead of blindsiding friends, running over them, really being there for each other for stuff is so crucial, so be good to your friends, be true to your school, man. I had to bring that up. Well, Johnny, thank you as always. So much fun. And to talk about Friends, I could talk about Friends all day long, but then I'll start sharing stories. None of them want me to. Otherwise, they'll disconnect me from Facebook again. but anyway, everyone, you can keep up with Johnny at hearjohnny.com. Also go to Facebook. And is that under Hear Johnny too? Not Facebook. No, that's Johnny Schaefer. YouTube.
Yeah, Johnny Schaefer with the blue check mark. Yeah.
Okay.
Just Johnny Schaefer, musician. Yeah.
He's been verified. But people should follow you on YouTube now because you have a release coming down the road. So I did not want to let that go. It's going to be roughly the middle of this month that a release will happen.
Yes, and it's the song I spent the most time writing of any song I've ever done and producing. Whoa. Actually, we really poured over every note and every lyric in this song because it's a really intense message. It's called "When It's Your Kid," and it deals with very heavy subject matter. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, if you just type @Hear Johnny in the YouTube search bar, it'll come right up and you can just subscribe and hit the notification bell, and then you'll get notifications when we're getting ready to release it. And my Instagram is also @Hear Johnny, and my TikTok's @Hear Johnny. So those are all places that you can, get plugged in. And sign up for my newsletter. I always talk about the podcasts in my newsletters, and so it's a great way to also get all these links and everything. Whenever Lisa and I do a podcast together, I send out an email, and then it has links to everything. So that's another way you can connect with us too.
I like your newsletters. You always tell stories. It's cool because so many people just are always promotion, and I'm like, I wanted like an email, like a letter, like when we used to write and say something, something of value. So, and you do that, and so that's a rare thing these days. So, thanks for that, and for sharing what's happening on the podcast. So, everyone, go call your friends. Like, don't just text them, call them, and do a video chat. Who cares what you look like if you just woke up? Who cares? Call them. Yeah. Get in touch with your friends. And if you've been thinking of a friend that you haven't talked to for years, maybe this is the day. It's a National Friendship Day. This is the day to do it. This is the month for sure. So let's do it. Keep friendship going. And especially during these crazy political times. Don't let politicians divide friendship. You don't know them. We can all have who we're voting for and why and what and all that. But remember, friendship is a bond that came from something positive that united you. So remember that part. And even if you have a squabble with friends, think about why you connected in the first place. That's important. So don't let politics ruin actual care and love between two people. Right?
I love that, Lisa.
That is real.
Yes.
That is, I'm stealing that from my friend Cheryl Ogle, who's been on the shows. I can't say it the same way she did. This was back on the last election. And she says, don't let two old men break up friendships and families when you've never met them. And so now I can't say two old men, but, we don't want, anyway, people don't, and I mean that on all politicians. So I really mean it that way. Don't let politicians break up families, friendships, if possible. And, remember the good stuff, and maybe sometimes just either say, we're going to have a discussion without being mean or cruel or argue if you're going to have a political discussion, or just don't have one for a while. Just say, you know what, you do your thing, I'll do mine, but let's focus on other things we like dogs and cats, chocolate, ice cream, pecan pie, wine, travel, music.
Now I'm hungry.
I know, I want some pecan pie with ice cream. I can't eat pecans like that anymore, but I will once in a while have some. But yes. Pecan pie with ice cream. With a bourbon sauce on top. Johnny,
I'm really hungry.
Let's do it now. Let's do it. Let's eat that pie. You know, speaking of that, I'm going to close with this fun story. So way back in the day, I thought I could be a vegan. And it really did help my body because I had so many allergies and things coming here and didn't know, like my body went through hell. So I went vegan. Oh, wow. And when I was eating pure whole foods, I lost weight and I actually had like fit muscles and I was good. And then I ate processed stuff. So that sucked. But this was and then my hair came out and I was allergic to soy and I didn't know that. And all these bad things happen. But if you just eat whole foods, you're fine. And you have to really work at it to be vegan. And it's very possible and doable. I was healthy and happy. But here's the thing. So, you know, cake was out because you don't know what's in the cake. And I was at the point of no hydrogenated oils, nothing. Like really, as a friend said, you can't eat anything that casts a shadow. And it was getting to that ridiculous level. And so anyway, we were doing a gig. This was up when we lived in Julian in the mountains. I mean, it was like and the gig was over and we were at this lodge, Pine Hills Lodge, I remember, and there was a wedding at the lodge. And it was like 1, 2 in the morning and a friend of ours, and they had this carrot cake and it was left. And him and I had been vegan. I think we both started together doing it, you know, and he's a Native American guy who's just like, no, I don't want to eat meat. We've killed so many animals. We've done all. Anyway, we both looked at this cake. And all I know is the two of us demolished an entire carrot cake right there and then. Because we hadn't had anything good for so long. Because none of us knew. I mean, baked goods way back when, as vegans, if you didn't make them yourself and know how to do it, really sucked. It's different now. Now it's better. But we're just like, the only thing is in there is a little bit of milk and some eggs. We can do this. And anybody who wanted some, we were like angry dogs, like, leave us alone. This is ours. And we devoured that cake. I think there was some left, a little bit, but icing on faces, the whole 9 yards of crazy. And that's what friends do. You go in together and you know you're not going to feel good the next morning. We did not feel good the next morning. But that moment was pure bliss, carrot cake bliss. And it was good carrot cake. It was moist. You could taste the grated carrot, like it was there. It was the perfect carrot cake. The right kind of icing.
Was it cream cheese icing?
Yes, it was the perfect one. Yeah. And it even had the carrot on it at the top.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God, now I really want some. I want some carrot cake.
We have a restaurant in Pasadena called Shaker's that has marvelous cheesecake. So, I'm going to have to go get some now.
I know. Yeah. Cheesecake, carrot cake, ice cream pecan pie. This is what friends are about. Well, there you go, everybody. Go split some good desserts with your best friend or something you're not supposed to, just for the fun of it. Pizza, whatever. Find something you can do if there's a health restriction. But if you're allowed to have something a little naughty, that's the time to do it. Do it with your best friend. Be naughty. Go skinny dipping in summer. All right. Which I've done quite a few times. Yep. And you get in the ocean, you wonder what that is by your leg. Yeah, not a good feeling. All right. Thanks so much, Johnny. You take care.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio. Keep up with our shows at bigblendradio.com.